additional briefing. And, I went to speak to persons about, self-development, and that they should do that for themselves and not necessarily for the organization. The organization will benefit. There should be, do it for yourself, your own professional pride. And several years after, I met the sergeant who told me that he has just completed his master's in national, I think it was some security-related master's, and indicated that his journey, his academic journey for that tertiary qualification started at that briefing session. Someone that I really couldn't remember from that time. So some of these things, and I'm sure if you speak with many of my colleagues at this level, they would have impacted a person's life like that. So these are some of the highlights. It's a challenging job, but there is a lot of benefits and reward that comes from it.
I think also, sir, in terms of highlights for me, is the way you've contributed to regional security,
yes,
and major projects in the region.
Certainly. And I just want to say that with respect to Cricket World Cup, again, thank you for reminding me of that. Jamaica itself has contributed so significantly to, at the time, was probably one of the most challenging security feat that we set out to achieve, where we had to secure a region separated by water borders in a way that it operates like a single nation. And so it's easy now in hindsight to say, oh, all we could have done was this. But when nothing existed, that was, and to create something from nothing and stuff. And I must say that Jamaica was extremely significant, and myself in particular played a significant role in that. Today we have two security apparatus in the region, the Regional Intelligence Fusion Center and the Joint Regional Communication Center, which are legacies of that work that we have done. The RIFC looks at intelligence collaboration across the region, and our Joint Regional Communication Center in Barbados looks at border security using advanced passenger information. And I must say, Leila, if I may, that a lot of the, a couple of the software systems that they used during that time, and I think still being used today, I personally developed them and contributed them to the effort. So it was indeed a pleasure.
Your appointment, sir, comes with great anticipation. Can I tell you? I think you're aware. Especially with your transformation agenda.
Certainly.
So if you could elaborate on the pillars of this agenda for me, particularly in enhancing crime fighting and national security.
Thank you very much. And I'm particularly happy how you phrased that question, because the High Command has been consistently trying to have persons understand that there's no demarcation between transformation and crime fighting. And so many times questions come to you as, okay, you guys are the transformation guys, I want to talk to the crime fighters, or this is a transformation agenda, then what is crime fighting? Well, they are one and the same. It is preparing an organization in order to treat with the challenges. And our security environment in Jamaica is probably one of the most dynamic and complex security environment anywhere. Speak with any sociologists, they will attest to that. And so I like the way you phrase the question. And so in terms of our transformation, it is hinged on three basic pillars: our people, our quality, and our technology, our PQT. And that's our mantra. Now, these are not just some labels. These are areas that were well thought out. And one of the things that we ask ourselves, what are the areas that if we cover those things sufficiently, then we should be where we want to be? And so when we look at our people, so there are two basic elements to our people. One, it is quantity, and the second is quality. Now, what do I mean? The first thing we set out to do is to ensure that we have the right number of persons required to do the job, right? And so that has informed our recruitment agenda. Many of you, if you pay attention to our social media and stuff like that, you'll see a lot of recruitment going on. We have embarked on one of the most significant recruitment drive over the last couple of years, set ourselves targets that otherwise thought impossible and have actually achieved them every year, including during COVID, when we had social distancing and we have to train people and stuff. So I must credit the recruitment center and our training institution for that. And so we look at so that help us in organizing ourselves around getting the number. And I hope you're following me and see where now the demarcation line is being blurred between transformation and crime fighting, because the people have to be out there on the street to secure the nation. But we don't stop there. We look now at the quality. Now that we have the people, how do we prepare the people? How do we develop the people? Right? And so that takes us home now to some programs around our training institution and how we train our persons. Now we have embarked on a program to seek institution accreditation for National Police College of Jamaica. Right? That is a pretty long journey, but we are making significant strides where that is concerned. But to achieve that, we embark on a number of program accreditation. Some of our programs we have already received accreditation for, and I must say that we boast the only driving school that has achieved institutional accreditation in the region. And thank you. Now, on Thursday, IDLS, which is, at some point I'll tell you what the acronym means, but it is one of the most prestigious accreditation for police academies, police training institute worldwide. Right? I think we have a little over 300 such police institute academies. Last week, Thursday, we completed an external audit seeking accreditation for IDLS. And we have been recommended for accreditation for IDLS, making us 24 of the over 300 institutions to ever achieve that. A number of our programs that we deliver at our training institution, like our basic training, we are on the journey of accrediting those at the level of associate degrees, bachelor's degrees for in-service training, and master's degrees for supervisory training. And as we speak now, we have a pilot with the University of Delaware State University so we delivered, we deliver the highest level police training in the region, which is our strategic command course. But were we satisfied and comfortable? No. And so now what we're doing, we're building on that. And so in doing so, we have this pilot with the Delaware State University offering an MBA in police executive leadership. And we have over 30 persons on that program now. The idea is to learn, extract from that, and develop our own so that we can sustain that. So that is a program that is taking place now at the highest level and things. So with respect to developing our people from the quality side, we're still on people. How much time do I have? We're still on people, but in terms of developing our people from the quality side, that is it. But then, with respect to people, we look at our facilities, the place from which we have our members operate. Right? Over the past couple of years, we have completed over 160 construction projects, both between brand new construction and renovation. We have done significant research in designing police facilities, and we have taken nothing for granted. We even include things like colors and how it impacts people's feeling, because people who usually come to us at the police stations most times have experienced some traumatic situation, and so colors have significant role in that. In terms of how we arrange our space, privacy for persons to come and report and stuff like that. So we have templates for all our police stations that we have researched, designed, and all 160 facilities, some more than others, because from when we're building brand new facilities, we have greater opportunity But there are times when we retrofit in one, and so the basic minimum must be there, but we probably won't get a chance to do it as we. So that's where we're going. And so that's the first pillar of our transformation. The second pillar, our quality, which is our quality management system. And so what this is, it is the system that we have, the processes within that system that deliver the services to our public. And so our quality management system is around the consistent high-quality service delivery. Now we develop the system, we outline the processes, we do all of that, and we deliver the service. I must tell you, the Jamaica Constabulary Force, I don't know that there's a second organization or entity in Jamaica that delivers more services than the Jamaica Constabulary Force, way beyond what traditional policing deliver. And so we deliver the services at a consistently high level. But we could have stopped there. We could have been satisfied with where we are and stuff. But what we've done is we did the unthinkable. We expose ourselves to the rigors of the leading certification body, the standardization and certification body probably in the world, which is ISO, the International Organization of Standardization. And so we embarked on an ISO 9001 journey to certify our services on our sites. And I must say, we are in the final of the 3-year certification. 3 years ago, we were certified ISO 9001, and that makes us, I think, one of 4 police organizations in this side of the world to be certified ISO 9001. Right? And so when you certify, when you go ISO 9001, you scope your project based on the sites that you certify, because we're a large organization, but also the services that you deliver. We deliver over 21 services. We scope it to the number of services that we want under the scope and the number of sites. And I must say, again, we were not satisfied with just being certified with a scope. Our journey and our intention is to certify every police station right across the country. It has never been undertaken anywhere, whether it's in policing or any other industry, a scope the size of this. On Friday, we completed an audit, our external audit for expansion of our scope and also surveillance. Because once you're ISO 9001 certified, you go through surveillance every year to ensure that it's just not an event, but also each time we include additional sites, which imposes on us a lot more demand and rigors. And we tripled the number of sites we had under our scope and have been recommended for certification of those additional sites last Friday. And so this is where we're going with our quality management. And technology, I know I've been here for a while, so I'm going to just briefly say that significant investment has been made in our technology infrastructure, setting up our back end and stuff like that. I think we probably are the envy, not probably, we are the envy of the Caribbean in terms of our technology outlay and our use of technology. Thank you. And I must say, not only do we acquire technological tools and infrastructure, our people are among some of the best technology. Much of our infrastructure, we maintain them. Much of our software and services delivered by technology, we build them. And so we have probably the largest technology firm in Jamaica right now, our technology branch and stuff. So those 3 pillars, we believe that if we get all these things right, then we shall be way on our journey of transformation.
Wow, that's excellent news. Can I get a round of applause? So I know, Commissioner, that one of the initiatives under your leadership is a plan to secure Jamaica. And I know technology is a big part of that, but could you give us some more insight into what Plan Secure Jamaica entails and what are the objectives?
Excellent. Whilst I'm tempted to take credit for Plan Secure Jamaica under my leadership, it goes way beyond the Jamaica Constabulary Force. It goes beyond me. Plan Secure Jamaica is actually a government-wide plan looking at all aspects of security and an investment in security. And it dates back a couple of years, maybe about 6 years and stuff. It includes 4 basic pillars. It looks at crime reduction. It also involves border security. The third pillar is around cyber defense and cyber intelligence. And then the final pillar is around technology. And so much of the areas on the Plan Secure Jamaica, much of what I'm telling you about now, it is within the remit of the JCF's responsibility in pursuit of that. But entities like the Jamaica Defense Force also comes under that. And with respect to border security, we have seen significant investment within in looking at shoring up our maritime security apparatus. They have benefited from that. Coming out of that is things like our cyber academy that exists within the JDF. And the idea is to optimize on resource. And so rather than each agency of the state between MOCA, JCF, JDF have their own silo capability, what we do, we build capability that serves security in the region, and that's the whole idea of it. And so, so we do our handshake. So the Cyber Academy at the JDF is not to train JDF persons only, but for cyber defense and cyber intelligence and stuff. So in a sense, it's a huge project, significant expenditure, and I must say, particularly where the JCF is concerned, we have been progressing quite well in the areas in Plan Secure Jamaica that we are responsible for. Excellent,
excellent. I did say in your introduction that you've gone 100 days as commissioner, and I'm listening to you, and quite a bit has been achieved, sir, and I think you have enjoyed quite a bit of success since you've been in those 100 days. What have been some of the challenges?
Police in Jamaica is a challenge. It is difficult, but that's what we're here for, right? The ordinary do the difficult, police do the impossible, and so there are challenges. We look at challenges as opportunity, but one of the most significant challenge is changing the narrative. We have made extensive effort many times sitting with persons who carry and educate our public. And after such enlightened discussion, the result of what you hear, you wonder if your communication was not effective and stuff. So there is a narrative out there that really doesn't describe who we are. Of course, we see things that are unfortunate. And that is why we have to be very, very forceful when it comes to protecting our goodwill and our image. A single incident sometimes characterizes the force itself, and it takes away from the true narrative. And it's significant, particularly with the diaspora, because, I know the diaspora, and I must say I really appreciate the interest that the Jamaica diaspora has in Jamaica. The pride that we see when persons here, and they always want to help, and so people always come to you and, how can we help and stuff like that. I believe that for us to craft a credible solution, we must properly define the problem. Else you throw resources unnecessarily at things which are not problem. No, the challenge we have is that when the narrative doesn't fit the reality, then the support that you get. And so with all of that explain around technology, I've had persons call me and say that they know an office getting rid of some computers, and they know that JCF don't really have those things, so can we send you some old computers and stuff. Now, if the narrative about who we are was changed, then the offer of support would be, consistent. Of course, we're not perfect. A lot of areas that we see that we can improve on. And even whilst we're ISO 9001 certified, up to this morning, have had reason to have dialogue with members that their actions that are inconsistent with our quality management system. So you're going to have that. We have over 15,000 persons in the organization. You're going to find elements. So the challenge is, how do we have persons understand the organization as we understand it? All right? That's one of the biggest challenges, communication. And so, as I said before earlier, we look at challenges as opportunity. And so one of the opportunities we seize from that is improving our communication, improving the discussion, the dialogue. And as a result of that, last year we won the Media Marketing Award in the entire Jamaica, our JCF, led by our Constable Communication Unit. And so the conversation has started. Our social media sites have been active. We go out and have discussion with our members and our wider public in order to, improve the information that is out there. But it's in addition to the external narratives, sometimes it's so overwhelming that our own members sometimes believe. And so one of the first order of business for me is to improve that internal communication. And so I've been out there on the street with my team, speaking with every available police at various conferences and forums. We introduced a corner, and a column in our force orders where we take the opportunity to have dialogue with our members, speaking to them about rationale, what thinking went behind some decisions that we've taken at the High Command, invite feedback from them. We have had proposals being sent to us, and persons see those proposals undergo significant discussion and become policies, knowing that it came from them, and so that, bring them on board with what you're doing and stuff like that. So, these are some of the major challenges, and this is how we try to turn the lemon into lemonade.
Absolutely. If you've ever seen Wanted Wednesday, put up your hand. I know. It's one of their effective communication campaigns, and I love it. We have to go, Commissioner. They've given us the wrap-up, but I have to ask you, what can the diaspora do? Okay, great. So you heard the challenges. One of the first things we want is we need the diaspora to assist us in dispelling that, just a communication. What message do we carry? It's a powerful group. I have friends in the diaspora. I travel sometimes, and when I hear a description of Jamaica and the organization, I wonder if it's the same person I'm going back and stuff. So we need to help in doing that. But also, we always say as an organization, the best way to help the police is to help the communities that we police. All right? And so if the support for the community, if the community infrastructure that should be there is there, then it makes our job that much easier. And that's why we deliver so many services, because of some void that we have to fill as police officers. And so I want to point you to the STAR project, the Social Transformation and Renewal Project, STAR. Now, we are as part of STAR as any other entity. STAR was born out of a discussion with the private sector organization of Jamaica and the Jamaica Constabulary Force High Command in looking at the very same question that you asked: how can the private sector assist us? All right? And in deliberating and in discussion, we decided collectively that the best way to help the police, rather than painting a station and stuff like that, is to help the community that we police. And that's how STAR was born. All right? I co-chair the oversight board with Sakit Duncan. Both of us share the oversight board, but it has been working wonders. It's a significant, very, very impressive program. One of the elements of the STAR project that is profound is that we do not impose solution to communities. What we do, there's a session where we engage communities to identify their own problems,
create a facilitating environment so that the solutions for those problems are derived from the communities, and then we help them to build community projects. And so, thank you. And so they develop their community plans, and we help them in executing those plans. There's one element in the STAR project that the JCF consistently insists on, and it is leaving tangible benefits in that social intervention in that community. Too often we have had social intervention where most of the funds and all of that resource goes to administrative costs, training some people and leave. We insist that there must be economic viability, and it doesn't have to be finding jobs for persons, but also creating entrepreneurial opportunities. And so there's an entire arm of STAR that looks at economic development, job creation, and stuff like that, and we insist on that. And it has been working wonders. So I invite members of the diaspora. Right? I'd ask Keith and Safri to just send me a list of things. So I have not an exhaustive list, I think about 7 or 8 items that they send me where I see support can be given. I won't go through all of them. It's a one-pager. I'll make it available there, where we can share with members of the diaspora. And it involves things like community center, building community center, creating a space for children when they leave school in some inner city communities and some areas where parents may not be available at that time. They may be at work and stuff like that. And you come from school into the community, even after significant investment in training and developing persons in school, then they come and they're in the community. We, the police, competing with the gangsters for the hearts and minds of these children. We need them to be in places where they are secure, where we can, on behalf of the parents who are not be available at the time, probably have to be holding down 2 jobs and stuff like that. And so we're looking at community centers, building out facilities within the community where we get persons to help people with children with homework, get them occupied, free, just remove that space, just remove that space and remove that space that criminals try and to recruit children into these things. And so this is one area I think we would welcome support. And I will be, I've been invited to do a town hall meeting in Broward for persons who are in Florida or southern part of the U.S. I really hope that you can be there where we can explore a lot more some of these PQT and where we're going and stuff like that. And I must warn you, it's a 2.5-hour presentation. And so you'd have to be able to tolerate that. But it's going to be a good opportunity. I look forward to, speak to members of the diaspora on, a more intimate basis in the different areas and stuff. And there we can emerge some strategies that we can develop together.
All right, I want to thank you, Dr. Blake. I know I've kept you longer than you should be here. So may we have a round of applause for our Commissioner?
Thank you very much.
Dr. Blake. Our plenary session will also be addressing issues of security. And so after that session, we will take the questions from the audience. So we move into achieving lasting peace and citizen security in partnership with the diaspora. We'll be highlighting innovative initiatives and technological solutions aimed at overcoming long-standing barriers to peace and citizen security in Jamaican communities. The expert panel will be comprised of Mr. Fitz-Bailey, OD, MSc, ASC, Deputy Commissioner of Police. Mr. Delroy Simpson, Chief Technical Director, the Ministry of National Security. I also like to welcome Ms. Shauna Trowers, Chief Technical Director of the Ministry of National Security. Mr. Kevin Juna, Sector Lead for Peace, Citizen Security. And this session will be moderated by Mrs. Elaine Oxamendi-Vichet, Head Corporate Services Division, Ministry of National Security.
We acknowledge the Commissioner of Police, ministers, senators, permanent secretaries, senior technical officers in the Ministry of National Security, members of the diaspora, panelists, the media, and all other stakeholders. Welcome to this signature event and the 10th staging of the Diaspora Conference. This afternoon, our attention turns to a burning topic, that of security, one which we can agree from the onset that there is no silver bullet. Today, seated for this plenary, which is poised to be intense, deliberate, and purposeful, as we interrogate the issue of achieving lasting peace and citizen security in partnership with the diaspora, we have Deputy Commissioner of Police Fitz Bailey, a stalwart in crime fighting, and an architect for implementing strategies that has led to the downward trend in murders. Sharing on stage is Mr. Kevin Jr., a decorated military strategist, a man of the soil who served in the Canadian Forces and was deployed as a senior military advisor to the Republic of Sierra Leone, Armed Forces, and Jordan. A retired senior military advisor, he now serves as superintendent with the Ministry of Corrections in Ontario. Representing the Ministry of National Security, we have two chief technical directors. As we balance the gender equation, we have with us Ms. Shauna Trowers, a policymaker who has developed anti-crime strategies and that steers the youth away from a life of crime and to more lucrative alternative economic activities. Ms. Trowers is an ideator and has been tasked and has, I would say, managed tremendously the case management program that is within the Ministry of National Security. And we can agree that the case management program that Ms. Trowers has implemented has been reaping tremendous success. Rounding out the panelists is Mr. Delroy Simpson, a consummate strategist, a seasoned civil servant who has brought to fruition several construction and technology projects valued of billions of dollars. Mr. Simpson is what we say is a brand name in the affairs of law enforcement, and he is known for getting things done. To set the tone, ladies and gentlemen, we will ask each panelist to set their tone, their raison d'etre, as to why they are here, what they're doing, their contribution. After their 5 minutes has expired, I will ask one question, just to get you in the groove of asking questions. And we anticipate that this is something that you will be doing. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Elaine Oxamendi-Vichet, and it is my pleasure to host this plenary. DCP Fitz Bailey, your 5 minutes, sir.
Thank you very much. Let me say good afternoon to everyone and to my fellow panelists. Crime is not a police problem, but a societal problem. And there are many root causes that have been identified for the proliferation of crime within our country. And we could drill down on a number of them, such as the socio-economic factors. We can look at social inequity, family dynamics, and community environment. Look at the family structure, which is so important. Community influence, cultural factors, policy and legal framework, among other issues. And so crime is a very complex problem that cannot be effectively addressed by policing alone. In fact, as we look at crime, we have to look at not only enforcement, but we have to look at prevention. So crime control and prevention is very critical. Law enforcement can respond to and deter criminal activities, but lasting solutions require addressing the root causes of crime embedded in societal structures. This necessitates a holistic approach involving a number of things: economic development, education, social services, and community engagement. I would just umbrella everything by saying that there needs to be a joined-up approach in treating with crime. By tackling the broader social issues that contribute to criminal behavior, society can create an environment where crime is less likely to occur. There are a number of things that we have embarked on in trying to address this problem of crime. We look at the legal framework. We have significant legislation that was enacted to support the police activity. We have an anti-gang strategy that was developed that looked at disruption, looked at diversion, looked at dismantling of gangs. And we have been embarking on a number of those activities. We have also looked at community engagement, which is so critical as we seek to address the issue of crime. So as we discuss this matter, we hope that some of these will be drilled down into in more detail. Thank you.
We hear from our military strategist, Kevin Juno.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Madam Moderator. I'm blessed and humbled to be sitting with the distinguished panel. Growing up in Jamaica as a child, it was made very clear to me that if I did anything wrong, living with my grandmother, she would correct me. If I was on the street and a neighbor or a friend saw me, they would correct me on the street, and then I'd go home and I'd be corrected again by my grandmother. As the DCP said, crime is not a police issue, it's a community issue. And because my family and extended family at the time corrected me, then it minimized the impact of crime on me and the potential for me to be engaged in crime. I was blessed to move to Canada when I was 10. And having the opportunity to learn a number of things. I eventually joined the military. And as I progressed through the rank, I was blessed to be at very senior levels and deployed to a couple of countries where my job was to build the capacity within the military. You've heard of the movie Blood Diamond. I went to Sierra Leone just after that to help to rebuild their military, build their capacity as a war-fighting organization. When the Queen Mom turned 100 years old, we went to Buckingham Palace, and my daughter, at 9 years old, she said, "Daddy, we're not rich, but we have access to privilege." And I want to emphasize the access to privilege. Because of my training, because of my upbringing, I have access to privilege, and sitting on the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council, it allows me to use my access to privilege to help, to come back to my early beginnings, to give back to Jamaica. And in that, I listened to the commissioners speak, I listened to the deputy commissioner speak, and my role in this position is to make sure that the resources that we can galvanize throughout the diaspora would be able to bring in to Jamaica so that we can support and build a capacity here at home so that as we fight crime and violence, we can do it together using what you have and the access that I have to privilege. God bless you.
We're setting the stage. We are setting the stage. We're hearing that crime is not a police matter, it's a community matter. We're hearing that when you're corrected by your grandmother and your mother, these things actually help us in life. Not too sure how that works now with the young children because there's a lot of talking back. So we're going to turn our attention now to Chief Technical Director Shauna Trowers, who has developed the Youth at Risk program, been reaping good successes, and hear how she's doing it on the ground. CTD Trowers.
Thank you, moderator. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to share the sentiments of my colleagues here with me. So I would hate to have to echo again that crime is complex. But one of the things that I think Kevin said was the issue of access. So as we look at the whole issue of crime, we actually had to look at what are some of the social, cultural, and economic determinants of crime. Now, sometimes we think that crime is the same as violence. They're actually separated, but they're linked. And so the core of violence we recognized was at the base of crime, and we needed to get to the root of it. So we're really looking at sociocultural norms. And as our moderator spoke to, we had to look at, there's one aspect of crime management that is hard policing, but there's crime prevention that looks at how do we stem the upsurge of gangs? How do we cut off the funnel for the young people to join the gangs? And so now we have to really dig deeper into the sociocultural norms. And one thing we recognize is that most of our young, unattached youth needed a sense of belonging. And what does that mean? And I think that Kevin alluded to it. We had to now see what was happening with the individual, what happened with the family, what is happening at the community level, that then we saw the groundswell of crime at the nation or the national level. And so the case management methodology really built on what our commissioner spoke to, the plan secure, citizen security being at the center, citizen security centered, looking at the most vulnerable and volatile, looking at certain communities, and really targeting to ensure that there is access, because access also determines, because crime has an economic variable. And so we focus on the youth cohort, working with the Ministry of Education, working with our other partners, looking for those who, through the school system, we identify that have challenges, that may have adverse childhood experiences, post-traumatic stress disorder, things that propel them to become violence producers. And our aim in this methodology is to address it before it becomes a crime management issue. And so the continuum of crime, the crime plan is one that, as prevention gives rise to management, it then gives rise to greater prevention. Our focus is not only retributive justice, but looking at rehabilitation, reintegration, trying to catch persons before they even go to crime, really building on that concept of the Jamaica that we once had. And so we really are focusing through crime prevention on our strategies, the case management methodology, the integrated approach to those that are most vulnerable.
We're guessing this story, and I hope you have your questions lining up as we hear from Chief Technical Director Delroy Simpson as he tells us what has been happening with our tax dollar.
Thank you, moderator. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So we're hearing from my colleagues here that the multi-dimensional nature of the crime problem requires an integrated, multifaceted, and sustained response. And that response includes at least 3 pillars: strengthening the legislative framework to target serious crimes; 2, reimagining the approach to social intervention. We're talking about social investment now. Enhancing the capacity of law enforcement to respond more effectively. So I call this institutional strengthening, and that will be the basis of my contributions here today. Now, it's known that the JCF is our primary law enforcement agency, and they were experiencing severe institutional challenges. We're talking about badly deteriorated policing infrastructure, limited use of technology, manual policing processes, challenges in terms of manpower and mobility. An island-wide assessment of police stations in 2018 indicated that 150 of 213 police stations were in advanced states of disrepair. It got worse. 15 stations were irreparable. And so in response, the ministry launched what we call Project ROC, Rebuild, Overhaul, and Construct. And we also formed strategic partnerships with the NHP and JC, because the problem was so grave. And since then, I'm pleased to report that 148 major renovation projects have been completed at a cost of just over $2 billion. We remain on track to complete the construction of 9 stations at a cost of $1.3 billion by the end of this financial year. 5 new stations are currently going through the public investment process, and works have commenced on 2 mega facilities in the Westmoreland and the St. Catherine North Divisional Headquarters, cumulatively valuing $5 billion. Doesn't stop there. Specialized Operations West in Montego Hills, that is currently going through the public investment process, and that project, the price tag on that is $10 billion. Another major investment is the construction of a state-of-the-art forensic pathology autopsy suite at a cost of $650 million, and this is now at 98% completion. So cumulatively, in terms of the investment in the physical infrastructure, we're looking at $19.3 billion. Now, the investment in technology, Commissioner spoke to it, and it's a very hard act to follow, but I will try to see if I can add anything. The investment in technology has been very significant. The tech build-out was outlined in an e-policing strategy that was approved by Cabinet in 2018. In the interest of time, I will focus on some of the major areas. In terms of CCTV surveillance, Jamaica Eye was launched in 2018, and since then, some 900 cameras have been installed on the network. By the end of this financial year, another 350 cameras will be added, taking the total to over 1,000, an investment of $1.7 billion. Another area of focus is the traffic ticketing management system. The ministry has introduced e-ticketing, which allows for the gradual replacement of the ticket. To date, some 3,850 sets of e-ticketing devices have been deployed within the JCF, and a new ticket information management system has been developed. The investment, again, is just over $1 billion. A station records management system has been implemented in 28 stations so far. The goal is to eventually replace that big book, the station diaries. The JCF has to communicate efficiently and securely, because that is indispensable to effective policing. Thus, the communications networks was another major area of focus. I'm talking about the radio network, the computer-aided dispatch system, and the microwave system. A total of 63 sites are now connected to the microwave. The total investment there is $1.5 billion. And finally, improved communication networks have to be complemented by adequate mobility in order to improve the responsiveness of the police. So some 1,437 vehicles at a cost of just under $4.6 billion have been delivered to the JCF, significantly boosting the force's response capability in the process. So what we're talking about here, ladies and gentlemen, is a sort of our crime situation would be akin to Goliath. And we have a JCF that is our David, but you can't send David into battle with the proverbial sling and a few stones. We have to give them way more than that. And that's what the ministry has been doing. Thank you.
So we're hearing of the David and Goliath, and we're on the winning side. Where's the David that is taking down the crime monster called Goliath? How are we doing it? Close to $30 billion have been put towards infrastructure as well as technology to improve crime fighting, to also ensure that there is law and order. We're hearing that there's a crime prevention and a crime management strategy that is at play. And this is targeting youth at risk. And we are supporting them through a well-organized case management system. We're getting our assistance and assurance through the Diaspora. We have a military strategist who can guide a process. And we have, of course, the architects of the crime strategy as a part of the machinery of the Ministry of National Security. Ladies and gentlemen, this is really tax dollar at work. I'm seeing that we have 3 questions lined up. Questioners, 4.
Right, so we're going to try and take as many questions as possible. Can
Certainly.
I ask all members of the audience to keep your questions brief? Likewise, in responding panelists, if you could also be equally brief, then that'd be great, so we can get through as many questions as possible. Okay, so moderator will start on the right, and then left, right. Maybe 2 questions, and then the panel.
Okay, so questioners, I'm going to ask you to frame your questions in such a way that the panelists can do the immediate takeaway. You're at the mic on the right. Please give us your name and where you're from, and we will go in that order.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is George Rogers. I'm from Sablamar, and I'm a returning resident from Canada after 47 years. So
welcome home.
My comments will bear some of my lived experience. I am of the opinion, Madam Moderator, and I'm hoping that the Commissioner will be able to answer this question. The carnage on our streets, and I emphasize carnage, I firmly believe is as a direct result of speeding and, I want to say dangerous driving, but horrible driving. And if we don't make some significant changes, we're going to continue to kill people on these streets. Now, I realize, Mr. Commissioner, that in order to make a transformational change in an area like this, using your words, we need, number 1, either reallocating of existing resources or allocation of new resources. And I would implore the political leaders to please support this initiative. So, sir, my question is, could you give us your assessment of my thoughts of this correlation? And I must say that from my observation 2 years back home, traffic enforcement on this island is woefully inadequate. How might you and the senior leadership tackle this problem, sir? And we want to support you in every way we can.
Very good question, George Rogers, living in SAB 47 years back. Commissioner, may I invite you to the podium?
Or Commissioner, you let me see if I can give you this microphone.
A long question about traffic and carnage.
Certainly, may I stay here?
Sure, certainly, Commissioner.
So I do agree with you in terms of the disorder on the road. Unfortunately, there's a legacy over the years that we're suffering from today. So in the past, we have had weak legislation in terms of penalties for breaches of the Road Traffic Act. I must say that has been strengthened significantly. We have had a new Road Traffic Act. Unfortunately, though, the regulation took some time, but it is here now. The challenge, though, is that it takes time for that to actually be effective, and for persons who are accustomed to a particular subculture to realize that there's a change. And people are seeing it, right? Things like suspension of driver's license. Some people won't realize the impact of that until 3 years' time when their driver's license requires to be renewed. And they realize that because of their behavior, that cannot be renewed. So you'll find some changes. Persons you've seen changes with are persons who are now trying to renew their driver's license and realize that the tickets that they have outstanding is impacting that, and so that will impact behavior. There's a theory called the rational choice theory, and it says that if someone is motivated enough to do something, as long as the reward outweighs the consequence, then they will do it. Unfortunately, over the years, our reward, our consequence was not as severe enough. And so the very same people, when they come in the countries that you diaspora people live, they drive differently. So we talk about enforcement, and many times we point finger on the police, and we accept any responsibility with public safety. But we also need to understand the entire ecosystem, especially when it comes to road traffic and public order. The police have but one responsibility and an authority, and that is to detect the breach and prosecute. Let me give you some statistics. We prosecute. So in detecting the breach, all we can do is issue traffic ticket or persons to appear in court, and that has to be done with a justice of the peace. And so people say, why the police don't enforce? Why the police? Well, we can issue traffic ticket, right? Well, let me tell you, we have issued more traffic ticket per capita than any states in the United States every single year. Wyoming is one of those states, is known for its severity when it comes to traffic fines, and the Carolinas. We issue, in 1 year when we pull the statistics, we issue twice as many per capita in Jamaica, without cameras, but just by people writing traffic ticket. When we had paper, now we have electronic means where we cut the time from 5 minutes to 5 to less than a minute sometimes to issue a traffic ticket. And so since then, even that statistics that I tell you about then is way beyond that. But then guess what? We're coming off a system where a person could have 1,000 tickets. What does 1,001, what that one additional ticket going to do to change that behavior? Very little. All right? Not passing the buck, because there's a lot more we can do. And as we speak, there is an operation, I won't go into the detail of it, that will look specifically at that. And so, but we need more than that. We need sustainable solution. It can't be a reactive thing where every problem we just throw police at the problem, right? We probably are the only country that consistently have to have police at working traffic signals, just so that people behave. We need enforcement. We need legislation. Well, the legislation is here. Give it some time, and people will start see the severity of that. But the emotion that it invokes in you, don't multiply that by 2, and that is our emotion as police officers. Because we have a responsibility, and because we are citizens and use the same roads that these persons drive on. But things are going to get better.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. So we will take the questions right, left in that order. I will encourage our questioners to reframe so that they're pointed, and for our panelists and respondents to respond pointedly. I see we have almost 10 persons, and we'd like to get through all 10 and have their voices heard. Madam, please, your name and state.
Good afternoon. My name is Claudia. I reside in New York, but I'm just Jamaican. This question represents my mom, who's 80 years old, and too many like her who would like to return to Jamaica to live, but honestly are too afraid. What specifically could you say to her to make her feel comfortable and safe? The second question is for me. Systemic racism plagues the United States policing. Black people are disproportionately targeted and murdered. Why then would JA want its police officers to be trained and to be educated by the University of Delaware, why not look to Scotland or to the Netherlands, which has a more effective and compassionate way of dealing with criminals? Thank you.
Very good questions, very good questions.
Maybe the first one could go to Mr. Fitzbailey.
Yes.
Why should her 80-year-old mom not be afraid to return to Jamaica?
I can take the second. I think the commissioner in his deliberation gave a very comprehensive reason based on the pathway that we are taking. But when you look at our crime rate, we are seeing a significant reduction in crime. In fact, in 2018, we had gang murder being about over 80% of our murder were gang related. Currently, that has been reduced to about 63. So the strategy that we have embarked on as a law enforcement body is working. Jamaica on a whole is safe. In fact, our crime rate is concentrated in some specific defined area. I don't want to use the term, in the inner city area. So the majority of Jamaica is actually safe. And based on this, the plans that we have and what we see in terms of the implementation of the strategy, I believe that Jamaica is the right place to live. And crime is everywhere. And I don't think in terms of the current, I remember the days gone by when our crime rate was way in the 60 per 100,000. Now we are going way down. We're about 30, in the high 30. And based on the plans that we have, for instance, this year, we are seeing an overall reduction in murder by about 10%. And we have a plan based on the plan that we have, which I don't want to say much about. We are expecting to see a significant reduction by the end of this year. So I will say to our grandmother who wants to come to Jamaica, Jamaica is safe. And when we look at the crimes that are being committed and the persons who are mostly victims of crime are within the 27, the majority of those victims are within that age group, 27 age group. And in fact, most of the murders, when you attribute them, they are linked to persons who are in conflict with each other. So I think generally, the general citizenry in this country is safe. Intergang and intragang conflicts are the causes of the majority of the murders in Jamaica.
Okay, so we're hearing that we have a plan for a plan, that we cannot share that plan right now. But the evidence is crime is going down. Murders going down.
There was a second question as to
There is a second question, and Kevin Jr. will take it. Thank you so much, Dr. Brown. But I think CTD Simpson wanted to lend support to what was being said by
Thank you.
DCP.
So we're seeing murders going down, but also other categories of major crimes. So rapes, assault, robbery, all of those have been trending down for a long period of time. And so we're happy now to hear from the JCF's perspective that murder, which is what gives us great concern, is also moving in the right direction.
I just want to make a final comment on this. Never in the history of Jamaica we have seen so many gang members, persons who are called influencers of crime, are now in prison. 5-10 years ago, you'd have heard of conflict with police and engagement, and our investigative process have improved significantly. All the top gangsters in this country are in prison behind bars. And commissioners spoke about capacity building, and it's through capacity building, investigative training, and the use of technology while we are seeing the result that we are seeing.
crime prevention, crime management working. Kevin Jr., Delaware.
Delaware. And you know, it's interesting that you've identified that racism is prevalent, and it is. But within the training environment, there are two things that we train in. We train in technical competencies and behavioral competencies, right? Behavioral competencies speak to the way that somebody behaves, some of their values that they've learned over years. The training that will be delivered to the police will be technical training, because there are processes that the organization there has that we don't have here. So the commissioner spoke about it, and I spoke about building capacity. So building capacity is around the technical skills to be able to perform the job, not the behavior that you see from that officer in Delaware that will demonstrate racism. That's not the piece that we're going to be looking at. I'm here with my mug that says "Live Good," right? And as I said, "Live Good." As a Jamaican, I know that the way that I'm going to treat the person that is beside me is because I want to live good with that person. So racism there is an issue. We're not asking Delaware to come here to teach us racism. We're asking them to come here to teach us the technical competencies of being an effective and successful police force, which is very different to be managed.
So the long and short of it is, grandmother can come home. We acknowledge Minister Kamina Johnson-Smith. Thank you so much for joining this plenary. The gentleman on my right, sir, your name and state.
Oh, thank you so much. My name is Leo Gilling, and I was just crossing the path a while ago listening to Commissioner Blake, and then I heard a question, how can the diaspora help? And the Commissioner's response was something to the effect, and I can't quote him directly, you know, for the diaspora to concentrate on communities and uplift communities, and also, you know, not just to paint the police stations, but to help in youth clubs and so forth, to help youth and mothers. I guess this is what he's saying. But I wanted to verify if, does that mean that you're excluding diaspora's help directly to the police department? That's one. And then two, because I know there are many skilled social scientists across the globe who are Jamaicans, who are very good in conducting evaluation studies, qualitative studies, quantitative studies, and all kinds of studies to find solutions that can be recommended for policy. It doesn't have to policy delivery. It doesn't necessarily mean painting. So I just wanted to verify, what did he mean by this is the way that the diaspora can help? And are you excluding help from the diaspora directly to the police department?
That is an outstanding question, sir. Over the years, the diaspora has been very well engaged in supporting the law enforcement, crime fighting in Jamaica. As a matter of fact, I can give you an example where just recently a consulting firm in Jamaica led the review of the correctional system here in Jamaica. And as a matter of fact, it wasn't all done here, but the diaspora was engaged in doing that review. So we had the leadership here from a consulting firm. 3 of the experts from the diaspora came to Jamaica to help to do that review, submitted the report, and the new draft policy that's coming out include the majority of the recommendation from that. I think we need from the diaspora, and it's a hard lesson to learn and a hard pill to swallow, we need a paradigm shift in the diaspora in which we think that we've got all the answers and we're going to come and tell you what to do. What we need to do is to, and we've started the conversation, is to identify the priorities here in Jamaica. What are the crime issues that the law enforcement want to work on? And once we have those priorities, then the subject matter experts in the diaspora can say, I'm willing to support. And when you're willing to support, then you'll be brought to the table, sit at the table where you can talk with the commissioner's team or corrections team or the military team. And from there, we can develop a proper strategy to be able to move forward. And it's not just us saying that we're going to go. Now, I just want to add one last thing before I sum this up. When I was deployed to Africa, and I spoke to the general that was there, he said, Kevin, I'm sick and tired of you people coming here to tell us what you're going to do for us. Ask us what we need, and then help us to accomplish that. So as a diaspora, we have some very qualified people out there, but it doesn't matter our qualification if we're not coming in and do what the government has mandated and what law enforcement agency has been mandated to do.
We have started the conversation. We have started the conversation.
Bruce Barclay, retired JDF Colonel. In support of Commissioner Bailey, Deputy Commissioner Bailey, I live in Coral Springs, 2 weeks for the month and 2 weeks in Biennial Town. And I sleep in Coral Springs. I lock my front door and back door. In Biennial Town, I leave my front door open. It is safe in Jamaica. Questions, quickly. Arena Expo, is it going to be annual? 1, 2, if a diaspora non-profit fund is set up for the police force, will you accept the contributions of a minimum of $10 per annum per Jamaican in the diaspora towards your policing effort? A non-profit diaspora fund. I proposed this 6 years ago in New York. JN President Earl Jarrett took the first $50 to the JN program and it never went anywhere. I'm asking if we donate money, non-profit, to the police for policing in Jamaica, will you accept it? Thirdly, is there consideration for a diaspora intelligence agency? And finally, can the duty on CCTV be removed? I paid 100% duty on some CCTV cameras, which were used in a murder to help murder investigation on Sackville Road in Biennial Town when the police were trying to find answers. Can we remove the 100% duty on CCTV so we can help the crime fight? Thank you.
Very good questions. Commissioner.
Thank you very much. The question before this, I'm very happy it was raised, lest anyone leave here, because I take responsibility for the message I sent, and lest anyone leave here thinking that's what I was saying. I'm very happy it was highlighted, and it was quite eloquently addressed by the panelists. And so I'm happy for that. There are so many questions, Bruce. Don't go yet. You may have to remind me of some of the questions.
Commissioner, he asked if the expo will be annual.
Sorry?
The expo.
Oh, the expo.
Will it be annual?
We would love for it to be annual. But if it was annual, we would have had one this year, which we can't at this point. And so we're pushing to have one next year. You know,
is funding the issue?
Sorry? No, not yet. There's a lot of things going on.
Those
A lot of things going on. And the expo, it required significant effort. As we continue, we'll get better at it, and it will be much, much easier. So we anticipate one next year. In terms of funding, bear in mind that we're constrained as a law enforcement organization. While it's an excellent idea, that is something I would want to direct to the ministry. And I'm sure there's a way that can be worked out, rather than direct funding coming to the Jamaica Constabulary Force, because we have a protocol that we're guided by and stuff. But as you, in terms of that for support, we have, as you rightfully said, Kevin, we have a long history of working with the diaspora for quality type support, consultation, stuff like that. One of the key elements in our strategy is stakeholder engagement. And that's why I mentioned that, you know, I was rambling on for a while, so I couldn't go in detail in many things. But when I spoke about the town hall meetings and the direct communication and deriving strategies from that, it is in view also in looking at how we can collaborate to support. I mentioned painting of a station and handing down of some computers. We know sometimes, for the point I'm making is that, as I said before, the problem has to be carefully defined before. When we spend $11 billion in technology infrastructure, you want to know that before you determine that a computer that is no longer useful for a company can work with the JCF. That's the point I'm making. Understand us, and so we can have meaningful collaboration and support. Thank you very much.
There was a question perhaps for the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade on removing the duty from CCTV equipment. Finance?
Yes.
Okay. Minister, we're going to get you on mic. Courtney?
Thanks. So confirming that that's the Ministry of Finance that's responsible for tax policy. And I want it to be...
Do you have a position on it though, Minister?
Well, these matters continue to be reviewed. And certainly incentives to import technology that is supportive of any element of national development is certainly something to be considered. But I do want to emphasize that we are where we are economically because of very carefully calibrated tax policy as part of the macroeconomic reform that has taken place. So it's not every benefit that seems like a cost benefit would necessarily manifest itself in a balanced approach. It is an issue that's being considered in the same way, removal of GCT for renewable energy, meaning anything that's positive, you consider how you incentivize and if you can effectively incentivize through tax policy. CCTVs would be a matter to be considered as well, but it is not an immediate agenda item.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you, Minister.
And so there was another one on Diaspora Intelligence Agency, but I'm going to ask the question if you could catch the Minister, the Commissioner afterwards. Madam Chair, we can take the next question.
Thank you so much. Madam.
Hi, my name is Asha Richards. I serve as chair of the Global Jamaica Diaspora Youth Council and hailing from New York. And my question is in regard to measures for preventive crime measures. So, especially in regards to vulnerable at-risk youth, particularly young men, especially in inner cities and increasingly in like Sava and Montego Bay, you have increasing youth that are affected by violent crime. Whether they have witnessed violent crime, they know someone that might have been affected or unfortunately murdered. These can have effects on their psyche, on their own mental health. And also, as aforementioned, a lot of the crime that we see, violent crime that we see happening now is in regards to reprisals, personal conflicts, and sometimes between partners and spouses. So in regards to crime, as aforementioned, it is a very complex issue to tackle, but I am wondering, in what ways is mental health being incorporated in preventative crime measures? And if not, what ways can it be added or increased in preventative crime measures? Thank you.
Very good question. CTD Charles.
Thank you for that question. So I agree with you. Most of the crime that we do see is influenced by a lot of post-traumatic stress disorder. So particularly you mentioned the West. And a needs assessment was actually done with the help of our partners, looking at the psychosocial across the island and some gaps identified. In the West particularly, we have provided for a St. James Wellness Adolescent Center. It is about 90% completed, focusing on a target group. What we realized is that we needed to get lower than what we started with. So the effect on the children even much worse. So when we look at vulnerability, we start from probably tier 1, which means someone who has limited kind of contact with violence. And we go to tier 2, which you've had a lot of post-traumatic, whether intimate partner violence or violent community. And of course, our worst would be tier 3. As we looked at the school system, and this is where Ministry of National Security actually is working very in an integrated approach with education as well as the Ministry of Health. And we've recognized that psychosocial must be a mainstay in any sort of intervention. So we're not looking at intervention as a projectized approach. It has to now be institutionalized. Real social investment, looking at those in our population who need the sort of support. And just regularizing how we look at mental health. So in terms of like our children, as we looked at the geographic areas that we looked at some data and recognized that the same areas that we had high levels of crime, we had high levels of intimate partner violence. The same areas we had intimate partner violence, we had what you call violent-related injuries. So the approach was very targeted, using the JCF data as well as using hospital data. This is where you're putting data on top of data and really doing a sort of analytics to say, where are we targeting? And having found those communities, we needed to look for the schools. And as we looked for the schools, we engaged with the guidance counselors, we engaged with the dean of disciplines, we engaged with persons at the community level, and they highlighted to us some of the students that we could not have gotten any way at all. And as they referred them to our case managers, so the Ministry of National Security has case managers, and the case managers, some of them are trained in something called cognitive behavioral therapy, which is for the highest category of those who are affected by trauma. And what we've sought to do, well, we've impacted, and I'm very happy to say that a small number, but it gives us great hope, in excess of 300 students in the last 2 years. We've actually gone to these students and using this methodology, then go into the homes, because it's one thing to treat the post-traumatic stress for the student, but the student leaves the school and go back home. And that post-traumatic stress could be in the family. And we recognize that the family needs help. And so, yes, there is a very focused approach for crime prevention. And we recognize that not only mental health, but we have to do what you call wraparound services. The same student that may have adverse childhood trauma, other mental issues, also suffer from some socioeconomic issues. Also may have delayed learning. So we look at literacy and numeracy. And how do we actually work with education to tackle it so that we treat the different aspects of that student, the family. So it's almost like, you know, where you have the concentric circles, we're looking at the individual. But in healing the individual, we're seeking to affect the family, the community. And then we're expected that as we increase this sort of methodology, it will take time, but we will see a systemic change in not only mental health, but how we do dispute resolution and just addressing violence, which ultimately would address some of the crime issues that we have.
Thank you very much. We have exactly 2 minutes remaining. So the young lady on my left, you have less than 1 minute to pose your question, and panelists equally.
I am Dr. Annika Harvey, Medical Officer from the Southeast Regional Health Authority. I have both a question and a suggestion. How important do you think is grooming and etiquette? I heard you made a comment about addressing the root causes of crime, and I find that respect and manners is lacking in the household. Even seen as the patients and even working at Children's Hospital, there's a lack of respect, right? I'm suggesting, or if it's not already in the plan, that you put that in the curriculum. This goes from cradle at the level of infant to the grave, right? And also require that students at the high school, finishing high school, sit an exam and they must pass it to graduate. I believe that when you implement measures of grooming and etiquette, it not only spans like learning how to use a knife and fork, but also conflict resolution, help to resolve conflict and so on. So that's my suggestion, and that's all I have to say, and thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of a very robust, and I think you have answers. You know where your tax dollar is going. We can take the additional questions on the outside with the panelists. They will be available. And we know where your tax dollar is going. We understand crime prevention, crime management. We see what is happening, and it's not just a police effort. It's all of us, a community that takes this crime for all of us to be the David, because there's no Goliath in this room. Ladies and gentlemen, members from the diaspora, I'd love to take your question, madam, but we'll take it on the outside. Thank you so much for being a part of this plenary.
Let's hear it one more time for our panel, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, madam.
I have to take this opportunity to acknowledge
Oh, so you're going to pull out? Yeah, and then pull out. And then we'll step in. Oh, okay. You ready? All right, I believe we're ready. Stand by. Must start this one, pull out. And we're live once again inside of the marketplace. This time we're starting. And once again, we have stepped over to the marketplace because the businesses here are, of course, open for business. And we are standing now with Rochelle White. She's a public relations officer for Jamaica Trade Board, which is actually an agency of the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce. Rochelle, good afternoon.
Hi, Sharonda. Good afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. How has it been going so far in terms of people stopping by to get information?
Oh, we have had plenty people stop by our booth today. It's been a really amazing day, first day, and we are excited to be here at the 10th Biennial Jamaica Diaspora Conference, and it's been amazing so far.
Lovely. All right. So for those folks who don't know what the Jamaica Trade Board is, could you tell us, please?
Sure. So the Jamaica Trade Board, also called the Trade Board Limited, we are an agency of the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce. Of course, we join 19 other agencies under the ministry with the shared goal of stepping up exports and growing Jamaica's economy.
All right, I like that. And I like your effervescence, your energy just through the roof. But after hours now, you want still have so much energy?
I could go a couple more hours.
Mind your boss area. All right, so what exactly can the diasporans or anybody else who stops by the Jamaica Trade Board's booth today expect?
All right, so we are here offering same-day services. So if you're interested in applying for an import or export license or permit, you can come right down here. We are also issuing, we are helping you with applications for the certificate of origin.
Oh, certificate of origin. What's the certificate of origin?
All right, say you're an export company, you're the company who's exporting your products, or you are getting ready to export, but things can get costly. We're here to save you some money. The certificate of origin basically is your ticket to paying little or no duty to the country you're exporting to.
I like how that sound. What? That sounds very good. But I understand that you also have a new portal that you're starting. Tell us about that. That sounds exciting.
All right. So in March, we launched our Export Jamaica. It's a global market intelligence and compliance gateway that is hosted by the Jamaica Trade Board, of course. And what you can expect from this cutting-edge, innovative gateway is access to market insights. Access to countries that you can potentially trade with, right? Import, export, thousands of buyers. We have their information. So we're not going to get you in any trouble. We're not going to let you trade with countries that have a bad reputation as it pertains to international trade. So we're bringing the information to our customers. Hey, we're not going to let you stress. You're ready to trade, you're ready to export and take things international and put Jamaica on the map? We're here to help you, all right? Custom duties calculator. We have currency converters. Everything you need to get on your export journey.
All right, so how exactly can somebody who is watching this, who is not able to come down to the marketplace today, access this information?
No worries. You can just log on to our website, www.tradeboard.gov.jm/export Jamaica.
One more time, that sounds like a hesse.
Okay, it's www.tradeboard.gov.jm/export Jamaica.
Rochelle, thank you so very much. Rochelle White is, of course, a public relations officer for Jamaica Trade Board, who is a subsidiary, or an agency of the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce. And we're walking, and we are taking our next steps over to Jamaica Customs Agency, where I am speaking with Mr. Gray.
Hi.
Hi, Mr. Gray. What's your first name, please?
Winston.
Winston Gray. Okay, so we're chatting with Winston Gray here. Again, just a reminder, we're inside of the marketplace, and this is, of course, the 10th Biennial Jamaica Diaspora Conference happening at the Mobay Convention Center. So, customs. When most people hear customs, them hear high price. So, is that accurate?
No, it's not. No, it's not accurate. No, it's not accurate.
All right, clarify for me, please. What exactly does the Jamaica Customs Agency do?
Well, we perform three main functions. We facilitate the importation of goods and services into Jamaica. We collect the applicable taxes and duties, and we protect the borders.
Okay, lovely. So you are responsible for your role exactly is supervisor for marine operations?
Marine operations, yes.
What does that role entail?
So marine operation deals with all of the goods that are imported into the ports through the seaports. So that would include containers, motor vehicles, barrel, boxes, crates, full container load, less than container loads.
Okay, that sounds like big work, man. A big work you have done. All right, you don't have to answer that. You can plead the fifth. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine. So for folks now who are on site, on location, at the Diaspora Conference, wanting to come down to the marketplace, when they visit the Jamaica Customs Agency's booth, what exactly can they expect?
They can expect some of the new initiatives from Customs. I'm not sure if you heard about CCP. That's the contactless clearance process that Customs is now publicizing in the public, where your goods are checked outside of your presence. Now, a lot of customers get uncomfortable when they hear that Customs is examining the goods without them being present. But as with DHL or FedEx, your goods most times are checked outside of your presence. Some of the advantages of contactless clearance is that it's given priority over most imports. So once you indicate to your freight forwarder that you want contactless clearance, it's given priority, and the freight forwarder would notify Customs that they have a contactless clearance declaration, and it would be processed in a timely manner. Okay, all right. So basically, we have nothing to be concerned about. It is actually better, is what you're saying. It is easier. Examination is done in a sterile era under surveillance camera, and the officer that is doing the examination wears a body cam.
So basically, you don't have to fret nobody's going to thief you things. That's what he's saying very nicely, because this is very well secured, very well protected. All right. So what else happens when we come down to the booth today?
Well, Customs has rolled out what is called a mobile app. So the mobile app is something that you can go on Play Store or Android, and you download the mobile app. The mobile app carries four main functions. You can do an estimation on your duty calculation. You can search for your declaration. You can track your declaration, and you can look at the status of your declaration using the mobile app. You can also make payments in customs duties and taxes using the mobile app.
Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. Is there anything else that is being offered here that we haven't covered, so people can run over here and, come bombard you?
Well, I've covered most. Those are the new stuff. We also have the other stuff like the returning residence status, and other importations.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gray, Mr. Winston Gray. I have to make sure that I get your name right? All right, so remember, folks, if you are here on location at the Montego Bay Convention Center, feel free to come by to the Jamaica Customs Agency booth. If you have customs questions or questions about custom, ask Mr. Winston Gray. I'm setting you up now, so everybody going to come and ask for you.
Or anybody, we're here to serve.
All right, appreciate your time so very much.
Thank you.
All right, just a gentle reminder that so far for the day, we have covered Jamaica Open for Business, transforming investment and enterprise in Jamaica through diaspora engagement. We came by our coffee break earlier, and we had a chat with a number of folks here, including Grace, Victoria Mutual, Jamaica National. Those are all, of course, our legacy partners. And now we are cruising the marketplace, if you will, able to identify additional folks who are here with us. And one additional person is the National Land Agency. And how are you?
I'm well, thank you.
All right. So just to remind me of your name, please.
My name is Christopher McPherson.
Christopher McPherson, and you're the big boss.
No, not quite. Just business services and ICT.
Why everybody may ask if them are the big boss, them laugh? Because the boss are watching, you know?
No, Because I'm only 5 foot a little. So I'm not so big.
I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. So what does the NLA represent?
We represent the security of tenureship. It's one of the rights of a Jamaican citizen to own property. And it is something that we ensure, and that is something that the government guarantees when you own your title. And we facilitate that.
Okay, that's great. So the folks who are here who want to have certain kinds, what kind of things can they expect if they come down here? What can they get done on the ground?
Well, there are many things that can be done. We're here with our valuation specialist. We're looking at the valuation role. Sometimes people are unclear of their property taxes, if they're paying for their lot, if their names are correct on there. We do those role adjustments here. We also give general information as well. We have attorneys here who are excellent, really, really professional people. They know their jobs. We all have questions. Even if it's not us, it's our families, our friends. So we encourage people, not only the diaspora, to come down and ask questions. We have the service of eLand. It's a wonderful product. It is utilized by the construction, the real estate, everyone in Jamaica. You're able to go on there, you're able to check a title, print a copy of the title, ensure that what is being said to you is actually correct. You can look and see if the name of the person is the name that you're talking to. You can look on there to find the valuation number. You can find the actual size. You might be purchasing a property. It says you're purchasing the title has an acre. They're saying they're selling you 4. Then you can start to understand.
So for verification purposes as well.
Well, it's a first step. Once you're more serious, then you can come to the National Land Agency, and we can do something called a search certificate, which is it's a legal document which is backed by the Registrar of Titles to tell you exactly what's on this property.
So is that those services you just mentioned, are those things that we can access here on site?
Right here, right now.
I love it. I noticed this big old drone behind you. What's this for? What's the purpose of this?
We are moving the agency into the future and beyond. We have LiDAR drones, we have drones with photogrammetry. We didn't bring any of the hydro stuff because we also map under the ocean as well, and we map on land. We're able to look at a parcel, measure things on ground, look at features on ground in order to create the cadastral map for Jamaica. And why? And you'd ask the question, why is a cadastral map important?
I was about to ask the question, but since you want to take away my work, ask yourself the question, why do we need that?
If we're going to plan effectively, we must know what's on ground. And if we don't know what's on ground, we're making assumptions. And we've all seen what happens when we make assumptions.
Yes.
We're building a road, we don't realize that there are features there, and we're able to look through vegetation. We're able to generate a digital elevation model. We're able to develop contours for the parcels. The surveyors will have to go out and do their final checks, but it's a good place to start. The more knowledge you start with, it's a better product that you usually get, or quicker. So we have that technology in staff. We have Mr. Chaplain Williams, absolute expert, absolute rock star with the drones. They're doing great things with them.
All right, thank you so very much. So for the folks who are not able to make it down today, where and how can they get additional information?
You can reach out to us. Look at our website. There are phone numbers on there. We have live chat people, real, not AI, real people that you can call and talk to. Real people, and in some cases they might not have the answers right then and there because people ask technical questions and legal questions, and questions which might require research. But we're here and we're willing to help you through everything. That is our task, and that is what we have been mandated to do as an agency, to serve the people.
And it is eLand Jamaica?
Yes, ma'am. eLand Jamaica.
Oh, that's it? I love it. All right. Thank you so very much for your time. And remember, if you need information on property, buying property, being able to determine the topography, the size of the property, to be able to authenticate whether or not the person you are buying the property from online is actually giving you the correct information, then you need to visit the National Land Agency, NLA. And if you are anywhere in Montego Bay, whether at the Diaspora Conference or not, you can come by and have that information. Otherwise, you can check them out online. We are still happening here live at the Mobay Convention Center, the 10th Biennial Jamaica Diaspora Conference. And, all right, I've made my way over to the National Housing Trust. So from land agency to owning house. That's a nice thing, you know. That's a very, 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 very nice combination. Mr. Dwayne Burbick, did I get that right?
Yes, you did.
All right, lovely. Good afternoon, sir, and how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Good afternoon, Sharando.
You're not going to ask me how me do?
Oh, you all right? No, you're at work, so I'm going to say you're good.
All right, I'll take that. So how has the reception been so far?
Awesome. You know, housing, and you spoke about National Land Agency housing. Our theme for this conference is Come Build With Us. And we know that whether you're at home, whether you're in the diaspora, Jamaica is always home. More than just the culture, more than just the vibes, more than just the feel-good that Jamaica brings. You know, we all want to own a piece of the rock. And so the National Housing Trust here at the Diaspora Conference is, of course, demonstrating to our diasporans that they too can become contributors of the NHT, and they too can become homeowners right here in Jamaica, right at yard. We know you're over there at work, but you can still work on your home ownership aspirations right here in Jamaica. So when it's time to come home, you have a place to come home to.
All right, so we understand the excitement of owning a piece of the rock, as we like to call it. Yeah. So let's see, I'm a diasporan. You notice I'm going into my accent now because we're talking about coming from Farin, right? So let's assume that I'm a diasporan and I am here on location and I want to get information. What kind of information can I get, one, and also what exactly can be executed on the ground if I come to visit you here today?
Okay, so if you're a first-time contributor to the NHT, or perhaps you contributed before leaving Jamaica, we will be able to do registration for you right here in our booth. It's a registration process that we've pretty much simplified, moving from 5-10 forms many years ago to just having one form that you can fill out. Once you fill that out, we can start your registration process and advise you as to when you can start making those payments. And once you make those payments, you become registered as a voluntary contributor, and you continue to make those payments, and within a year, maximum 2 years if you're a first-time contributor, 1 year if you contributed before leaving Jamaica, you can actually start accessing your benefits. And we can also give you all the information you need on accessing the benefits, whether you are looking to buy property in Jamaica, whether you have property already and you're looking to build or improve on that property. And something we're selling in this conference as well, under our theme, Come Build With Us, is the opportunity to do partnerships for housing projects with our diasporans as well. Many want to not just come back home, but want to make home Jamaica more comfortable for Jamaicans as well. And so many are looking to also partner with us on building out housing projects, especially at the affordable housing segment. You know, housing prices in Jamaica, you know, most people see them and them raise them eyebrow right now. But, but you know, NHT caters particularly for the affordable housing market, and some have that philanthropic nature that they've tied with their business, that they want to do partnerships with us to build out housing projects that many more Jamaicans can actually own a piece of the rock. So we are doing that on the customer side, but also on the business side, we are partnering with our diasporans as well.
Okay, I like that. I'm really, really enjoying that. Anything free down here for them to get when they come?
Of course, you can get enough information, but of course, a joke. That aside, though, of course, we have our tote items that they can get. We want to give them a little piece of Jamaica to go back with. We have our housing magazine that gives you tips, whether you're looking to start a home ownership journey or you're a homeowner already and you're looking to make improvements. We'll give you tips through our magazines. And I'm sure my marketing and sales team will give you a little goodie that you can stick in your goodie bag that you're walking around and take that back as well.
I like it. Dwayne, thank you so much for your time.
Always a pleasure.
And
thank you.
Remind us of the theme, Come Build With Us.
Come Build With Us.
All right, so tell them. Talk directly to camera. Tell them.
Come. You see this?
Yes.
NHT, this? Yeah. Come Build With Us. come build with us.
You them for use them commercial. Thank you, Dwayne.
Thank you.
All right, so we are still happening here at the Diaspora Conference inside of Montego Bay, beautiful, beautiful Montego Bay, Jamaica. So we are taking a step away from the NHT, who is encouraging us to come and build with them, to now come over here to the National Education Trust. And I'm speaking with Keisha Johnson, Management Director, Donor and Partnership. That really means you are head cook and bottle washer. Tell me if I'm wrong.
It means that I'm the chief... No, stressor. I stress everybody because I beg everybody on behalf of the children of Jamaica, from early childhood all the way up to tertiary, because that's our mandate, is to mobilize resources for the education sector. So that's what we do.
All right. So, wow, that's interesting. So how can somebody contribute to this?
In cash or in kind. That's the bottom line. So we have many needs in the education sector that I'm sure you're well aware of. And of course, we can accept cash, so you can donate funds to our designated accounts to cover specific activities or specific projects. If you want to do in kind, we have buckets of different needs that you can give in kind support to as well.
So, Keisha, give us a little idea as to some of the schools, if that is what it is that you have aided in the past, and what kind of assistance have you been able to give because of the kindness of others?
Oh my goodness, we want to be so thankful to our diaspora members, since we're here at the Diaspora Conference, and of course our local members and foundations that give generously to support our children. We have people who do scholarships, so I'm very cautious about naming names. Yes, you're trying to get me in trouble.
It's okay.
But for example, OFANA, Old Farmers Association, we manage their scholarship fund, for example, at CASE for them. There are several private groups that give different kinds of donate to different kinds of projects that we manage on their behalf. We do mentorship for some of the students as well. We build schools, and we have persons who contributed to building schools or building resources at schools. Those are on the agreements, specified agreements, and we do those kinds of infrastructural development as well. So the gamut is whatever the needs are. We work with the donors and the schools so that we're on the same page and we are addressing the pertinent needs of the school and the urgent needs of the school at that time. And we formulate formal relationships with them through a memorandum of understanding, and we manage those relationships, including the monitoring and evaluation, to ensure that what they give to is what funds are spent for. And then we report. So there's transparency, there's accountability, and measured impact that we report on to our donors. And I want to bring to your attention, if I may, on the board here, if you can see, we've got a number of schools up here. There are 245 underperforming schools in Jamaica, primary and secondary schools, underperforming at the primary level in literacy and numeracy, and at the secondary level, they're underperforming in the external examinations. We are prioritizing those schools because we believe every child deserves the same fair chance. And we are appealing to our diaspora, we are appealing to our local members of community here to support these schools, so that whatever it is, the struggles that the children are having, whatever is inhibiting them, whatever barriers they're facing, we can address those barriers so that they are able to fulfill their potential like your child.
All right, thank you so much, Keisha, for sharing with us. If you are interested in being a contributor, you're interested in being a part of what is happening here, then you can go to net.org.jm. That's net.org.jm. We are going to jump back over to the plenaries happening in the main building here at the Mabay Conventional Center. Once again, it's the 10th Biennial Jamaica Diaspora Conference. If you're not here, there's still time to get here. If it is that you definitely can't come, then stay connected to this stream, and we will be bringing you some of the conference right to the comfort of wherever you are. I'm Sharanda Farrell signing off for today, sending you back to the main studio.